And joining us, guys, this was on my what to watch list, Survivor. I have been every 44 of the seasons, all the way from Richard Hatch and Gervais to now. I've watched. I might have missed two when they had like the worst cast ever, but this cast had a lot of melanated people, and I was like, I'm gonna tune in. And then the guy I was rooting for is out the first damn episode, not because he was voted out, but because he busted his head. And now I need to find out that he was okay. But he is. I see him. Let me welcome to the show, Mr. Bruce Perreault. Hi.
What's up, people? How we doing?
Good, good. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you. Lovely. Your essence bled through, being a good man, a good person on this show. And I was really sad to see you go. So the first competition, you were going under a thing on a log and hit your head on a log. It was bleeding.
Well, yeah, there were two parts of that little, I guess you can say, obstacle. The first one I went under, and I went under it perfectly fine. It was great. And then I was coming up to the second one, and before I knew it, I couldn't see anything because I hit my head. But and I've said this before, I'm gonna blame it on my own wardrobe malfunction. My shirt was too tight. I wanted to be out there looking all cute, let the muscles hang out. I'm 45 years old at this point in time. And my shirt didn't allow me the flexibility that I needed, and I went down and just cracked. Just smacked my head right on that board.
Now, you were fine until you weren't, right? And then at some point, hours passed, the sun went down, and then you got lightheaded, and then the medics came in, and then they took you up out of there. Did you know? So what happened?
Yeah. Well, to back it up, I literally was, I finished out the first part of the reward challenge, if you will. So I finished that out, and I went back to the mat, and I'm just sitting there watching, and everybody saw it on the watch back when I saw it, and I just faded. It just called like an adrenaline dump, and I just faded out. And boom! I hit the sand. They took care of me, and then from that point on, I had like a headache. It was straight up headache. It was a 7 out of 10. Like, it was bad. And we went back to our camp, and the doctor told me, Bruce, you need to chill. Don't do anything. Your tribe mates will take care of you. And of course, me being who I am, I'm like, yeah, sure, not a problem, doc. And then I get out there. I'm old. I'm the oldest guy out there. I'm like, I can't let these kids keep doing this, because there's two reasons behind that. One, I can't sit here and see myself not doing nothing. I don't just sit around the house. I'm not just gonna sit around and do nothing. So I'm helping out. But then, if you watch the game of Survivor, you do know that if there's any reason that you can get voted off, that's it. You're done. And I don't want to be, first off, the dude with the bump in the head. Now, secondly, I'm laying around camp, and everybody else is doing the work, and they're like, oh no, Bruce, you're okay. And then it's like, oh, he's gonna be the first one. I get rid of Bruce. He's weak. No, he's not. He just hit his damn head.
So let me back all the way up. Bruce Perreault is here to be on Survivor. Mm-hmm. It's not one of the shows I ever wanted to be on, because there are no bathrooms and running water. I need to have that in my life. I like food, so the food, I don't know, y'all, when they give rewards, it's like burgers and Outback and bullcrap that I don't eat. I don't eat that stuff. That wouldn't be happy. The freaking milk and cookies, and, for rewards, it's like hamburgers and stuff. I don't even eat meat. I was like, I'm not enticed by that. People be giving up a lot of stuff to get a hamburger. Not my thing. And then you got to deal with people talking trash behind your back. And then I got to wait maybe 4 months to get at them until the reunion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't give them that smoke in real time. So that's not the show for me. For you, what was the impetus to go on Survivor?
Man, I've loved this show from day one. I really have. It's something that I think about with my own life. I went through the foster care system, and I was lucky enough to be with one family, the Perreault family, that adopted me at the age of 7. But I was still, my foster parents were doing it for 20 years. So you kind of learn how to grow bonds. You learn how to kind of cut them off quickly, and then you cherish what it is you have. But then also, there were no less than 8 kids in the house at any point in time. So you got to know how to navigate through stuff. If there's dinner on the table, I'll get there and get it. Like, if there's, you want to go for a bike ride, and there's 4 kids that can ride a bike and there's only 2 bikes, guess what you got to do? You gotta
Okay. So back, you're age 7 getting adopted out of foster care. Do you remember your birth mother? Do you remember your birth father?
I met my birth mother at the age of 30.
Oh, wow.
And the last time that I saw her, I was, from what I've been told, I was 2 years old. But I did get to meet her. And then as far as my birth father, I have no idea who he is.
So being adopted at 7, not as a baby, you, as you mentioned, you learn how to navigate things because you want to be wanted, selected. How did that shape the person that you are today?
It's one of those things. I don't take anything for granted, for one, and then secondly, it kind of makes you a little bit. I'm a Leo. I know who I am. I'm all about pleasing other people, but don't scorn me. You do it once, you're done. I don't want nothing to do with you. But it's just that my whole background kind of geared me up towards this. So when I saw that Survivor was a show that came out and it's like these people I'd never met. Hell, I was with people that I never met, and you're voting them off. They're going back to their, biological family, or they're going to a different foster home, or they're going to, state care or whatever have you. Like this was like made for me. This is a show that was, might as well just be Survivor, Bruce Perreault. Like that's it.
Bruce, let me ask you something. You talk about foster care. And a lot of times, when I counsel dudes, there a lot of people who come from foster care. They have an issue with kind of figuring out who they are because what Karen was saying, it's always you're trying to keep a roof over your head. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know if you were shifted around or whatever, but is that something, that survival technique, that have anything to do with the fact that you found this show so interesting?
I was lucky enough to stay with the same family the entire time. So at the age of 2, I went to the Perreault household, and different last names. So I was lucky enough to go through that, but I was unlucky in the sense of they had 120 some odd kids in and out of the house over the course of 20 years.
Right.
So,
wow. Wait, 100, more than 100 kids?
They had 6 of their own. They didn't adopt one of my brothers. Coincidentally, his name is Bruce as well. They didn't adopt him, but he just stayed with us the entire time and he aged out of the system. But he just, is my brother.
Your birth brother?
Not my birth brother. No.
Okay.
I actually have 2 siblings, and we were separated. When this whole thing took place when I was 2. But I know who they are now. I was able to meet them and find them. So that's a beautiful thing. But yeah, as far as like this whole idea of Survivor and the whole idea and how it works, it's something that I lived through. It's just kind of is like you have 7 other kids in the house. You ain't gonna want to hang out with all 7 of them. Or you're gonna hatch something like, let's go down the street, go to Frankie's candy store, and you're only gonna talk to 2 of them, and the other one's gonna ask, "Where you guys going?" I don't worry about it. Like you figure something else out. Like these are the type of conversations and things that that I saw with this show that just made me 110% love it.
Survivor has been one of the challenges I have with that is the racial dynamics, right, that play out because folk are on an island, and it's usually always like if they don't separate these tribes, the few times they separate them by race, the Black people always go to the end and win because they stick together, contrary to what the narrative is. But when we're on different teams as it is now, usually the first person out is Black. I've noticed that for whatever they find a reason to demonize, and so far it's kind of held true that the first 3 people I think that have been eliminated have been people of color. And so, I mean, you left on a stretcher basically. So I guess that doesn't count. But, as you look back,
does it?
Huh? Does it? Yeah. You know what, Dante, you were saying something. But I watched Bruce run into the wood himself and then pass out and then have a headache. And so I know
who picked the tight shirt though.
Yeah, Bruce did. I think Bruce
got my hand up.
Yeah, Bruce. It was all Bruce.
Nobody suggested it.
No, it was all me. They give us the ability to purchase our what it is we want to wear, and they okay it, and there we go. So
representation, does that matter to you?
If my life has been so diverse, and taking a look at Survivor and the history of Survivor. I've had and seen a lot of conversations with Bryce Isaiah and Wendell Holland. They've done a lot of great work by way of changing how things are with Survivor, and it's a beautiful thing. And society, this is kind of like a double-edged sword a little bit, because you want something but you lose something else. You know, you lose a little anonymity, but then you gain the ability to go a little further in the game. You know, and that's what this game's about. It's a social experiment. You know, and when you did have in the past 2 or 3 Black people on the show, you know, you have people that maybe never interacted with a Black person, but they saw on television the things that we've done in the past, like, or not even we've done, but how we've been depicted with violence or whatever have you, or poverty, and that's all that they knew. You know, so now with the great work that's been doing, and you know, the producers and Jeff and the whole organization, they're making sure that there's more people of color on the show, whether it be Black, Asian, LGBTQ, it doesn't matter. Like, there's more diversity in the show, which makes it so much. It reaches out to another demographic, and it also makes it a beautiful thing, because this is what our world is coming to. Like, if we want to make it a social game and keep it a social game, we do these type of things. Myself personally, because I've been around, you know, my wife is white, my family's white, my kids are interracial. Like, you know, I run the gamut of every ethnic background that you can think of. I've been around. Being in the military, I've been all over the world. I have no problem with it. So for me personally, I'm looking at it like, okay, this is great for not just myself, but other people that don't experience what I've experienced in my life.